Behold, a cold open. Joe, since we're both unemployed, we have an opportunity to fantasize about our jobs in the way we couldn't when they were real. I want to know, what's your dream job?
That's a good question. Let me tell you what I want my work mornings, my Monday through Fridays to look like.
Mm-hmm.
I wake up, I do our current routine with the boy. I make him breakfast, and then I eat his leftovers. And then I get him settled in the car for Winnie to take him to school on her way to work. And then I finish getting ready. And then I'm out the door. I am walking to either the pink or the blue line. I'm stopping for Vietnamese coffee on the way. And there is zero wait. It is fucking fast.
Also, they somehow use this experimental type of super science to make the sugar in it not bad for you.
It's not bad for you. Anyway, the train, and I can't stress this enough, is not fucked up. My commute is 20 minutes long, which I've landed on as kind of the perfect number because it is a amount that separates you, and you get some good phone time, but like not enough where you lock into the wrong thing, but still you do get some phone time.
Yeah.
Then I get off at my stop and I walk. It's like barely a block. Like it's I'm in the lobby very quickly. I'm up the elevator onto the floor. I enter the office. The receptionist is there, and she, as always, greets me and says, "Great to see you. Like yesterday, we have the same problem. We have a bunch of horses in the back that need to be not alive anymore." And I do my knowing little smile, and I roll up my sleeves, and I unsheath my Zweihander.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Anime Sickos. It's the podcast for geniuses and the only podcast where we talk about anime, gaming, posting, and jobs, which are the four pillars of modern misery. I am Tom, an anime sicko.
I'm Joe, an anime sicko. Tom and I, after much bitching and complaining about how Blue Sky sucks, we're eating our vegetables. We're giving it the college try.
No guarantee that it's going to stick, but I forget even now what it was that Twitter did that was so much worse, but it's just like, it's
misery. Also, there's an algo.
The new indignity is so awful that we had no choice. Whatever it was. I mean, it's what is life but a series of indignities?
Yeah.
But all of which is to say, we're giving it the college try. We're not going to, give up before we even start like we were before. And I think that maybe we got a good sign because I saw a post shared by Krolj. If you follow Krolj on Twitter, he's one of the top accounts. You got to follow Krolj. And he shared a classic Blue Sky post that I had never seen before. And having seen it, I was like, oh, maybe there are some freaks on here.
Maybe there's some juice in this after all. We're not done yet.
Yeah. Joe, do you want to describe the photo or read the text, or are both of those things too distasteful for you? And the reason I ask if you want to do one or both is because they're distasteful to me. But
how's this sound? You can say the words. I will describe the photo.
Yeah. Start with what are we looking at here?
Well, the first thing I would want to communicate about this photo is that it is blurry.
Yes.
And it's blurry because it is clearly a guy holding his phone up in the mirror naked, jacking his dick.
Well, yes. When I say blurry, it gotta be clear, it's intentionally so, as though it were censored. But not enough
we
that
haven't
you can't
earned this yet.
Yeah. Yes. This is the paywalled version. And the text says, God, I would probably post boner for the first time ever. Sidebar.
He's posted boner before.
I'm
I'm willing to take that bet.
1,000%. He would probably post boner for the first time ever, but fuck a place without moderation to protect my black friends, my trans friends, my sex worker friends. This guy's a hero.
Yeah, it's weird to just like conflate. Like, yeah, you know how justice and my penis hang out. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, that's a post. That's a capital P post.
That's a good
beauty of this
post.
is what if he's doing a bit? Doesn't matter. He's fucking sure he earned it if it's a bit. I don't care.
When we were writing all of our sketches for Oops All Sketches 2, and a number of them ended with a character being shot, I said to Joe an incredible observation I had, which is that the invention of the gun impacted history in many ways, but perhaps in no arena quite so much as sketch comedy.
You got an ending always.
Yes.
Michael Scott is correct. So he was doing improv, and that's kind of lame. You have to sit with your friend and write the gun ending.
Yes. You have to both look at each other and be like, what could be better than if this guy got shot? And then we cut immediately. And then you just shake your heads and you both go, nothing could. That said, that is a genius observation that's true. Having seen this post, I then realized another observation of the same type is true, that the creation of the internet had a great impact on history and on all sorts of groups of people. But perhaps no group of people was so benefited from the internet's existence than humiliation fetishists, which this guy 1000% is.
I think that is, what I have issue with the blue check model currently on Twitter. It's because, like, yes, you get rewarded for being insane and saying weird shit. But, like, that means the grifters and the humiliation perverts have the same symbol. And you really want them clearly marked.
Yeah. It's also spoiling you got your humiliation fetishists who have put in the work and are doing this for the love of the game. And then you have fakers who are getting the humiliation fetishists like traffic that they earned by posting their blurry.
Can you do community notes on here? Can you be like, community note, this guy gets a boner when people yell at him?
I guess, so the moderation thing he was responding to, I guess, is from when Blue Sky had like 1,000 users, and I don't fucking know what he's referring to.
How can you say, if this isn't moderated, Twitter is like negatively moderated?
Yeah, Twitter has moderation in order to ensure that your black friends, trans friends, and sex worker friends are harmed to the maximum.
Right, so I don't know. Also, is the post old?
Probably, yes.
It's good. It's good. It should stay out there for us to deal with much later.
Yeah. Anyway, all of which to say, we'll see if that sticks. Maybe.
We're the same on Blue Sky as we are on Twitter. I am Sharia Uncle.
I don't even know if I am. Let me check.
I think it's at God's Perfect Little Boy.
I'm Tom Harrison straight up. Oh, shit. On Twitter, I'm Tom Harrison 19 because there were 19 previous guys who got there before me. I'm Tom Harrison straight up on Blue Sky. No numbers at all. And then, of course, Anime Sickos is Anime Sickos. They really got to get rid of all the fucking shit that comes after the username. There's no way I'm going to say tomharrison.bisky.social every fucking time.
I think it's assumed that the default is the one you're referring to. My ignorant understanding is that this is sort of like remember how what was the mammoth-based one?
Mastodon. That was the one that was
had
all
like federations
GFs,
that were like things. A junction GF, yeah. And so it's a little bit of that. So you can still like junction a GF to some stats, but it's just confusing.
Yeah. You can junction GFs, but like you don't have a limited number of spells, so it's still like usable. Jesus Christ. Anyway, we're gonna rank the game mechanics on a tier list. Do you remember fucking doing that? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was a good idea that I came up with.
Yeah, we did it a few times. We liked it.
It was typical because I liked it, and you did the thing you often do. It's like, okay, we did something fun twice. Now, if we do it anymore, we'll go to hell. And I'm like, I understand.
I've never done this in my life. You're making something up.
No, absolutely.
No, what happens is I forget about it. As I said, we did that. That's cool. That was a great job. we got to just wait a little bit and then we'll do it again, and then we forget about it.
If you don't let me talk about game mechanics soon, I'm going to flip out.
Okay.
Let me do it. I want
Joe,
to do it.
We got a bunch to choose from here. I'm going to share with you our little menu that we have picked out for today. What do you want to do first?
I would like to go with sort of a foundational game mechanic. And I'm going to say that's Dracula shooting 3 fireballs.
Dracula opening his cloak and
He's got
shooting
fire in there.
3 fireballs. Joe, I think it's very clear that this is at least C or above. This is definitely in the good section. And there's no better evidence than every single Castlevania is the first thing Dracula, who is the king of monsters. He is the landlord. The first thing he does is open his cloak, and out comes 3 fireballs, and you have to jump so that the very apex of your jump is right at the third fireball, and then right as you're coming down, you whip and you hit him in the head. And that is just one of the all-time fun things to do.
Again and again and again.
Yeah.
It's very... I would put the floor at B, actually.
Yeah, okay.
Also the reason when you get the same fucking spell in Symphony of the Night, you're like, yeah, I'm a Dracula. I'm a Dracula.
Yeah. Have you ever played Dracula X, the Castlevania that was the American
Saturn one?
I think it was for SNES. It was, so they made Rondo of Blood for the PC engine in Japan.
That's the best name. Like, Castlevanias have very stupid names, but Rondo of Blood.
It's pretty dumb, dude. I think I've talked about this, that for whatever reason, my grandma, I don't know if this was a defunct brand name that she had just made her own personal generic version, like Kleenex, but she called all ice cream bars Rondos. And I'm talking about ice cream bars, like a piece of ice cream with a chocolate shell that you pick up and it's wholly contained and the chocolate shell is like crackly. So every time I hear Rondo of Blood, I'm thinking I'm picking up a little chocolate bar from the fucking freezer and I bite into it thinking it's going to be ice cream and just blood comes out. Anyway, Rondo of Blood is a classic, one of the best Castlevanias. They made an American version with some different company doing, I don't know why it's different, but it's different and it's worse. The reason I bring it up, when you get to the Dracula fight at the end, when you're in the part where he's shooting the 3 fireballs, because there's always that part, and then you beat that, and then Dracula does some fucking shit, and it's different every time.
He becomes a demon or a dragon or something.
Something weird happens. But when you're in that part, you're not on a flat fucking, like, floor. You're on a bunch of little pillars, each of which have bottomless pit on either side, and they're also at different heights.
That's so fucked up. Castlevania jumping is clunky.
It's so dude, when I say bottomless pit on either side, trust me when I mean that if you get hit by the fireballs ever, you go and there's nothing you can do about it. I don't hold that against Dracula shooting 3 fireballs. I just want to say that there was one time where some extraneous bullshit that wasn't the 3 fireballs' fault made it bad.
I'm going to put it at B because it's like a comfort food. When you see Dracula do the cape, you're like, oh, I know what this is.
Yeah.
You feel smart for jumping over them the right way, but you're not surprised because he always does it.
It's like, you know what it's like? When you see a band that you love live and they have a new album out and they're playing the new stuff and it's great. The new stuff is good. And every once in a while they play like an old deep cut that everyone pops for. Like, oh, yes. And then they go off and you're like, they didn't play their big hit, but that's fine. They played it 1,000,000 times, and that was a great show anyway. And then, oh, what's this? They're coming back, and they play their big hit, and it's just like, oh, you guys. Oh, gosh. That's the 3 fireballs. Because you played the whole Castlevania. It was new. There were new mechanics. There were all these fun new things. And then, my boy, 3. I like how they... They all start high, but the 2 go low.
Yeah.
So good. Anyway, yeah, B. I'm 100% for B. I have nothing against putting it in B, and it is in B. Dracula shooting 3 fireballs is as good as Jump. We have fucking put it. Bam. It's true now. Joe, what's next? What are we doing now?
Tom, you're on a Resident Evil kick right now. You played Resident Evil 2, right?
Yeah, the remake. Yeah.
Yeah, I did too. Seeing you play that made me think of a really good mechanic that the series leans into, which is you are pursued by a freak.
Pursued by freak.
And the freak, it goes without saying, of course, that the freak is basically invincible.
In fact, I'll go one further. The freak must be invincible in order for the mechanic to, in fact, be pursued by freak. Because, like, if you can kill the enemy, that's just the serious Sam guy with no head and the 2 bombs that goes, ah, and runs right at you.
Yeah, in Resident Evil 2, the Hat Man shows up. And you just have to play around it. Like, there's no, like, oh, I'm going to just use all my rocket. And you're fucking not, because he's going to touch you.
And I love Pursued by Freak. I'll say it now. Resident Evil, as a horror game, is rarely scary. And I know in my brain that the AI for the freak who pursues you in the Resident Evil 2 remake is really stupid and easily played around. However, when the music starts playing, and you start hearing clompy ass feet, and you turn around and there is literally the Hat Man from Benadryl. Like,
or it's worse when you don't know where he is yet, and he's like close, and you're like, how do I not see him? He's 8 feet tall.
Or like there's like some zombies that you didn't kill because you can get around them with some difficulty, but like it's possible. And it's like, oh, I'm avoiding the zombie. Oh, and then you open the door and there's the fucking Hat Man. It's like, oh shit, you got to turn around. It's like, oh fuck, that zombie that I didn't kill because I didn't want to waste my bullets. Now fuck, I should have killed that zombie. I hate getting pursued by freak. Another time you get pursued by freak is that Alien game. I never played that, but the Alien is a type of freak for sure.
Like an alien, like the dang movie.
Yeah, the xenomorph, the one that's got a big eyeless, shiny dick. Yeah.
The Frieza 3 one.
Yeah, Frieza. I didn't play that game, but I understand that it is a game where the alien is unkillable, and like the tension of the game comes from like I gotta do all these fucking chores, but
I have to do my job, and there's a thing in the vents.
Yes. Joe, here's another thing that has Pursued by Freak that was too much for me. You ever play the original Amnesia game? That was all Pursued by Freak. It was pretty much the only mechanic.
There was some Steam sale. I bought that for many people because it was like on sale and people had it on their wish list, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is like really scary. I don't like this." Like, oh fuck, never mind. This was a scary gift.
Yeah. So I had that game, and this was when the idea of someone playing a video game for an audience was sort of new, and like there were like viral videos of like people playing Amnesia and going like that were very popular among my crew. And so we set up a series of events where I got my computer hooked up to a big projector, and people would come over and watch me play Amnesia because I was especially fucking frightened of the freak, and I could not handle being pursued by freak. And generally, people would hand me alcohol, and being that I was in college, I would just slam it without checking.
Dance monkey.
So that's why I don't drink anymore. And also, it was that was too much. I think what you got to do to make Pursued by Freak sing is you got to have other stuff. When it's just Pursued by Freak, you really feel like all right, fuck me then. Like, can I just kill? Like, just get me. Like, just make me dead. In Resident Evil 2, you do have guns and shit, and like you can kill the other zombies, so you feel like, okay, that's not so bad.
You don't feel powerless.
Yes, you feel powerless in the face of freak, but you're just like, I'm powerful, but the freak is just something I'm gonna have to deal with, and it's another vector of decision making that gets put onto the game. When all you're doing is being pursued by freak, it's just like, man, I'm in freak world and I hate it. Like, why am I here? Like, why don't I just kill myself in the game?
I would like to contribute some additional evidence.
Yeah.
Everything you've said, Pursued by Freak-wise, has been a 3D game, not surprisingly, because you run around in a 3D space.
Yeah.
But Pursued by Freak is such a good mechanic, in my opinion, that it made me scared when I played the Super Nintendo Clock Tower game on a ROM like after I had played like 3D scary games, thinking this is a Super Nintendo game. It's not 3D. It can't be scary. It's so fucking scary because like the Scissor Man comes and gets you, but it's the music change. All it has to do is the music change, and I'm like a grown man, and I'm like, oh no, he's gonna get me, and I can't think properly. The same thing happens in Resident Evil, like in the Resident Evil 2 remake. It's like at the end of the game, like you're not really inconvenienced by him. Like he's not killing you. You're just like, fuck this guy. But if the music plays, you're like,
yeah,
he could get me. What if he gets me?
I'm thinking. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of putting it in C, and that sounds like it sounds like a slam, but it's not. I agree with everything we're saying about Pursued by Freak. Pursued by Freak is, here's the thing though, it's a spice. It's like I said, you cannot.
It's a sometimes flavor.
Yes, you cannot make it the main part of your game. Otherwise, you get Amnesia: The Dark Descent, which is too scary, and I hate that. But as a spice or sauce sprinkled atop an already good game, then you get a great game.
Agreed. I agree.
Also, I just don't want to put it right next to Dracula shooting 3 fireballs because I don't think it's as good as that.
It's not. And I will say the reason even the AI for the thing chasing you can be clunky and shitty. The reason it is not so apparently clunky and shitty, in my opinion, for something like Resident Evil 4 is he shows up in different times, and because of that, it's like a different context each time. So the shitty AI feels newish, you know?
There was a part in the end of the Leon run of Resident Evil 2 remake where, like, it's right near the end, and, like, so much shit is happening to you. You had to go through a weird plant area. You had to go through a yucky sewer where like 1 million giant monsters.
Yeah, turd tentacles. I hated that part.
And you have to shoot like 1,000 bombs at them, and you have to kill them fucking all because you can't run past them because they're giant. And like you're just getting put through the fucking ringer, and then like you fight the big scary guy with the goopy eye in his shoulder, and then there's the self-destruct going on, and you have to get out of the fucking research facility while this thing going wah, 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 and you're just running through catwalks.
This fucking guy again.
And Leon literally says, "Are you fucking joking?" I don't know if he says, "Are you fucking joking?" But he makes some verbal expression of, "Is this a joke? This
is a little much." So C's good. I like that.
Cool. What next?
We have jump at B. Let's do another really basic, like crisp chest pass video game mechanic, and that's going to be roll.
Joe, I'm going to say something you may not expect. I think roll is pretty bad. Here's why. What is roll? I'm thinking like what the quintessential version. Ocarina of Time, roll. And you know about roll because you need to roll through Hyrule Field, otherwise you go too slow. And it's boring. So you got to roll. So what is roll but a crappy sprint or dash?
That's true. It doesn't look cool. Let's also consider this. Like, rolling is cool if you fall from a great height and then do it and then suffer no damage, and everyone's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
He dispersed the force perfectly. Mm-hmm. But if, like, I'm fighting ne'er-do-wells on the street, and even if I win by doing well-timed roll dodges, I look like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And they would probably say that as I was choking them out. Like, they'd be like, you use the roll, it doesn't count.
I mean, I sort of made a joke, like, when was the last time you jumped in life? Like, when was the last time jumping was so critical to your day-to-day? In reference to how you're constantly jumping in video games, which would make you think that jumping is the most common thing to do. With
rolling is presented as like a typical kind of locomotion,
and also one that you do that you do while you're already in a full run. And so it's like, I'm running as fast as I can. Time to fucking throw my head at the ground at full speed. I would just, what I would do is I wouldn't like spin enough. I would like dive, and I wouldn't get my head down enough, and I would just smash my head straight up on the ground, and the spinal discs in my neck would become like a can of Pringles just getting smushed on the top, and that would be it for me. I don't like roll. I'm putting roll in E.
Yeah, I have some additional bad evidence, which is you can't help but think of the worst version of a mechanic when we're doing this, right? And I can't help but think of the Monster Hunter roll, the biggest fucking awful shit ever. What if you did a roll and you still got hit? It only changes your trajectory a little bit, but as Tom said previously, it's not like that big of a change.
Actually, talk about the worst example. This is very similar to the Monster Hunter roll. In Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I think has great combat. I think the combat system is fantastic and a lot of fun. But you have a roll in that game, and I was like going nuts about like I had to like look up like what am I doing wrong about the timing of the roll? Like the roll is terrible. And I had to look it up, and people were like, "Oh yeah, the roll is not meant to dodge. Like you're not going to dodge anything with the roll. Like keep in mind that although you are playing in sort of a semi-real-time action-like combat system, this is still a JRPG like Final Fantasy VII game in that like the game is designed that you get hit every time the enemy has a turn. And there's no dodging. You can't dodge in Final Fantasy VII, so you can't dodge in Remake. So I was like, what the fuck is the point of the roll? It's so that you go a little bit faster for a little bit. Like, just give me a sprint.
It's a fidget.
It's so stupid.
It works, though. I mean, like, WoW was the first MMO I played where you could jump, and, like, I was like, oh, okay, well, I have something to do forever now.
Yeah, but I think jumping is a better fidget just because it looks better.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You do it in place.
Okay.
It's funnier.
Doing it in place, I mean, nothing more is to be said. So after we've correctly put roll in E with junctioning GFs and the triple jump, I think that, we can't have started this ball rolling. Pun not intended. We can't have started this ball rolling without finishing it up. Specifically, roll with iframes. Joe, I'll say it clear and bluntly. Roll with iframes makes roll look like shit.
It really does. If we can return to the Monster Hunter evidence, it's so fucked. You have to wear special armor to get like regular video game roll. It is a big sin. It sucks. This is evidence that roll with iframe is insanely good.
Yes,
because you're willing to spend your precious skill slots on something that is just a basic quality of life video game thing. In a game where you have like a spear that's a gun and like you do crazy shit, it's like, no, what I really need is just like a roll that I can depend on.
That, not to get too off topic, but I love, on that same Monster Hunter note, the buff called earplugs, which is just when the monster yells, instead of standing still and holding your ears like everyone else has to, you can just keep playing the game.
Well, the first level, you just shudder less.
It's so fucking funny. So, Joe, you are famously and publicly a From Software games not playing guy. Aside from Bloodborne, which does not have the roll. It has a little like sidesteppy dash, I think. I have played a shit ton of the fucking FromSoft games. I've played Dark Souls and I've played Elden Ring. I've played it twice. So I know from roll with iframes, which if you don't know what that means, iframes is frames in which you are invincible, which is to say you activate the roll and for a certain amount of time, nothing can hit you for any reason.
So you can roll through that weird fire blast. You can do goofy shit.
There is a part in Elden Ring where you were walking up a big staircase to go to a wizard tower. And as you're looking up this big staircase, being like, this is going to be easy for me because I don't have any fucking monsters on this staircase. A wizard inside the tower, you can't see, you discover him later, summons an enormous metal orb that clangs down on the fucking staircase and starts rolling towards you. And you think to yourself, oh no, I'm going to get absolutely demolished by this big metal sphere that's rolling towards me. Well, did you know that if you just roll directly into the sphere, nothing happens?
That's video games. That's video games. It's like, how did you have to get through this? You have to embrace video game. You're thinking too much like real stuff.
So if you play FromSoft games, you play the Souls games, you play Elden Ring, roll with iframes is perhaps like the most important thing that is in your toolkit. Like, you have to be able to roll through shit, and it, as though it's still stupid looking, like all the shit we said from before is still true. Like the fact that
it's still slow.
The fact that like you become like the legendary hero, but anyone watching you is like, do you mean the guy who's constantly rolling on the floor like a dumbass?
He's on the ground most of the time. How cool can he be?
Although that's all true. It's just like, it is the cornerstone of a combat system that I find so rich and rewarding that like I can do nothing but love it. I'm thinking roll with iframes goes to B. I think it's as good as jump.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's the mechanic that is fun at base level, and then also it's like asking you to abuse it a little, because it's just like, if you have iframes, you can get nutty.
I think also that the nuttiness makes the inherent indignity of rolling somersaults. It's what children do. Children show you that they can somersault.
That's the trade-off. I look like an idiot, but I take no damage.
Because it's silly, the silliness of this action is actually apropos and adds to an overall atmosphere of we're just goofing. Like, we're just being silly here. And I love that. Roll with iframes. It really makes... And also, I'm going to say, if you've experienced the roll with iframes, it makes the standard roll all the more ridiculous. Because this is why I was looking up what is the roll for in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Because I would roll immediately as I was getting hit in the animation, and I would still get hit. And it literally never occurred to me that like the game's logic is like, well, although you were in the posture of a somersaulting child, you still got hit with the sword, therefore you take sword damage. It's like, no, if I'm in the posture of a somersaulting child, swords go through me. That's just logic and science.
When you equip that skill in Monster Hunter and you like go up the skill ranks with it, you just get more generous little windows. Because like, it's not... Roll, as you said, should be when I press B, I'm a ghost. Mm-hmm. You can't fucking touch me. But in Monster Hunter, you actually have to, like, this is the frame where I don't get hit.
I think that's a little too demanding. But then again, isn't that all that Monster Hunter is? That, like, the whole game is, like, can you be absolutely perfect for every single moment of this 20-second fight against a dinosaur with a gun for a head?
And the base roll has, like, I think, like, one frame of invincibility that you can watch, like, Japanese players use as if it's, like,
that's so fun. Like, whenever the goddamn Summoning Salt, the YouTuber who does the history of a certain speed run, he'll talk about, like, and then, like, Big Dick Donnie found a exploit that if you press B on one frame out of 60 in this second, then you do a thing that allows you to do a speed run good, and you need to do it 15 times every minute, and if you mess up once, the speed run is destroyed. Anyway, after that was discovered, 100 guys were doing it every single day, all day, and it's just like, wow, oh my god. Like, if something takes one frame in a video game, I'm just like, whoa, so it's impossible. Like, it can't be done. Okay.
It's a randomly occurring event, then.
Yes. Okay. So that's roll with iframes. Joe, what do you want to do next? Let's take a look at what we got on the docket. What are you feeling?
Let's actually continue our movement discussion. We're gonna get at it in an indirect way. I am selecting homing attack, and the reason it's a movement-based thing, it's because homing attack makes you think of like Gunstar Heroes, where you have like this gun that automatically just hits everything and you don't have to aim it. So you can focus on jumping. Like every shooter game like that, the homing weapon is focus on your feeties. Like it's like worry about the footwork, which is very good because it lets you get fundamentals.
Oh my god. I was not following where you were going. Like, how is homing attack movement based? But you are so fucking right. It's like generally the homing attack is weaker than the non-homing attacks, but like that is a price I'm willing to pay because like especially in like a hard game like Gunstar Heroes or Cuphead has a homing attack where like so much of the game is like you have to be standing in the right place to not get fucking rocked and killed all the time. It's like, how do I learn? Like, how do I... It's such a punishing difficulty. Like, how am I ever going to know where to stand? And that is an option you can have to be like, well, at least you'll be able to put your entire mind to it.
Yes, 100% of my brain can worry about positioning. Great for learning a fight. I forgot about Cuphead. Cuphead it's hard. It's fun, though. I think I was using the homing weapon for the same reason, because it's how you learn the fights.
Trying to do the 7 force in Gunstar Heroes, where you have to fight 7 bosses. The robot just has 7 transformations, and it's essentially just 7 bosses in a row. It's a 7 boss rush, and fucking sucks.
He's made out of balls, right?
It's one of the. It's that like that was Sega's like answer to Mode 7. It's like, this is the thing that we can do that SNES can't. Is have a lot of like balls that sort of look like, these balls look like they're like connected on a rubber band, so they'll like shoot out and then boing back. Trying to do that boss fight without the homing attack, unless you are like already the Gunstar Heroes speedrunning god, is fucking nonsense, and it's so annoying because like you're constantly having to remember like, okay, in this form, where the fuck do I stand? I stand over here. Okay. But then also, oh shit, if I'm not actually aiming at the guy, the fight'll never end. Homing attack.
It also puts a time limit on every boss fight, because just think of rate limiting kind of here. You are shooting nonstop, and it's always going to be hitting the guy. So the game is hold down the button and jump for long enough in a way where your health doesn't hit 0.
God, it's so smart. It's so smart. It and also it gives a game license to require really precise movement, which like some people, sometimes myself, I'm not good enough to love it, but I understand the value of a game that really asks a lot of you with your positioning and reaction and dodging. And I played a couple games that require that and do not have a homing attack, and I feel like I'm playing Amnesia. Like I'm in hell. Like, you just put me in hell, and I'm getting hit every day by villains. And like, so what the fuck am I doing? Like, I'm gonna just leave. Like, why am I? This isn't fun. But homing attack, it, you know what it is? It's easy mode by another name.
It is. It's easy mode, but they're not calling it easy. They're just like, oh, it's just a special gun that makes life easy, known as a gun.
Obviously, we're both on homing attack side. Where are we thinking in the tier list?
Either A or B.
I don't think it's getting to A. I'm putting it in B. I think B is fair.
That's fine. We've also been leaning on B a lot. We got it.
Well, isn't that the bell curve? The bell curve will even out later. In fact, if we want to put more stuff in D, I'm going to tell you, I feel like I got to... I was going to say a big D coming, but no. I'm feeling that this next one will get sorted into D. Related to homing attack. Homing attack, specifically Sonic, where you are the projectile. Where like you jump, you are Sonic, you press the homing attack button, and you don't shoot a bullet that always hits. You shoot your you who always hits. What do you think about that?
It depends if I'm using it on another human being in Smash Brothers or not, because it's like a war crime. It makes a dentist drill sound. It sucks to have it happen to you, but it makes you feel like you have instant transmission, which is cool.
I feel that the fact that it is so strongly linked to Sonic specifically is a problem. And I know that a lot of people are trying to reclaim Sonic and rehabilitate Sonic's image. And a lot of people, for whatever reason, really love the characters and stories of fucking... Yeah, I don't get that.
Sonic, yeah. There's a lot of love for a lot of them that it feels like someone just has a lot of lore for like the BK kids. Like, I just don't...
Yes.
I have trouble wrapping my head around it, I guess.
All of us just say, I still, despite all this sort of reappraisal and all this momentum of like, Sonic's good, I think Sonic's Not that good. I had Sonic Adventure 2 Battle for the GameCube like everyone did. I played it because it was one of my few games. And even as a little kid, I thought it was just okay. And that's apparently the best one. And yeah, I can't think of another example of a homing attack where it's you being the projectile.
I don't think so either. It's definitely one of the better parts of Sonic because I associate Sonic with running to the right and then like suddenly having to stop because you hit a wall. So I like that better. So I think it's a good mechanic in the context of Sonic. Big picture,
Here's also why I don't love it, even in the context of Sonic, which is it tends to not really be something that matters. And what do I mean by that? Let me cast your mind back to when I was talking about like the idea. I was talking about how AI generated art is so meaningless to me, and like the fact that it is so easily created and has such little substance when created means like essentially you don't have to ever put the prompt in. Like we already know that there's slop to be made, and we know that the slop can be made with no effort. So like the slop is in a sort of quantum position of always existing regardless of whether someone actually types in the fucking words. Which is to say, the enemies in Sonic are kind of like that. It's like we don't actually need to have enemies in 3D Sonic games because they're not like they're just platforms, and like they're not even platforms because I can't miss them. Like I'm just pressing the button and I'm jumping to the platforms, which in this case is in the form of using your homing attack, and then you just keep and their sort of orientation in the level is designed for you to like jump in a certain way. It's just
how are they just not a hook shot?
Exactly. Yes,
That's
it
just
doesn't feel like an attack because like they don't feel like enemies. They feel like they're helping me. And it's like you were placed here to help me go to this area by using my homing attack.
Yeah, so at that point, the enemies are just like environments. And do you feel good about killing the environment, Tom?
I don't. I feel bad. I'm putting it in D.
Agreed, yeah, for sure.
I'm not putting it in E or F because as we, you do get to kind of whoosh, and it's kind of like it's fun the first time. You get like, oh, I whooshed. So, it's not like roll, where you don't even get to whoosh. You just gotta roll like an asshole. All right, what next? What are you thinking?
Let's do some classic boomer shooter shit, by which I mean regenerating shield, but non-regenerating health.
Oh, baby. We're in Halo now.
I was in boomer shooters in Halo. I was thinking more of like, whatever. The point is the classic FPS choice of you got a cool blue layer that gets hit with bullets and goes away, and it comes back. But your blood underneath the red bar, that does not regenerate.
I think this is the best of both worlds. In terms of there's the whole thing about what do we do with health in shooters? Do we have it be regenerating where you get shot with 100 bullets and suddenly the screen gets bloody and you just hide behind a barrel until you're totally fine? Or do you have, so the only way to heal is picking up little floating first aid kits on
in the middle of the room, which are surrounded by shooting guys.
And there's people who argue on either side. This is the best of both worlds because literally both are happening. You have the regenerating health, like you can hide behind a barrel and get more safe. But also, like if you get shot actually in the face a bunch of times, like you're dealing with that. You don't just not have gotten shot in the face, which is what.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's a very good mechanic too because it's guiding the player to be like you should take cover, like you need to take a breather, you shouldn't be exposed all the time, like it's kind of training wheels.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like if you just walk up to a guy, he'll shoot you with a shotgun in the head. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that aspect of it's good. And what you said earlier, which is like a Wolfenstein situation, like one of the remakes, you just have health in that. Like, you're getting pinned down by a machine gun, and you're, like, mostly dead. Like, the shield gives you an out. Like you have something in your toolbox to change your situation a little bit, and obviously it's limited. But like in the Wolfenstein situation, what do? Just move and then quick load when you die.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's one of the better ones. To me,
yeah.
it's like how 2 guns is the perfect amount of gun in a game. It just feels just the right amount of mechanic.
Yeah. Yeah. It just feels good intellectually. You think about it from like, design perspective. And it's just like, smart. And then you experience it and you're just like, hell yeah. Yes. Yeah. And also
having a regenerating resource also keeps you from being like, I'm fucked.
Exactly. And also, to go back to how we were talking about being pursued by a freak, how it's fun when in the midst of a game, an event happens that sort of is like red alert. Like your thinking your actions need to change now. Priorities are different now. New mode. When your shield goes away, the way you think about how you have to play and like your priorities.
Yes, I'm a little scared
change.
guy now.
Yes, and that's fun. It means that you never get stuck in one mode. I'm putting in an A. What do you think about A?
And in a multiplayer context, it's fine for the reasons we said, which is, yes, you have shields, but it doesn't stop you from getting shot in the face with a shotgun and becoming insta-gibbed.
Yeah. And Joe, just to be clear, I'm going to make you feel your age more than your constant body pains already do. You said, you made some indication that perhaps boomer shooter was not the right thing to say, given that Halo is the most famous example of this mechanic. Halo 1 came out in 2001. It is 1,000% a boomer shooter. It is 23 years old.
I guess, yeah, that's true. I guess a boomer shooter I associated with like the Duke Nukem stuff, but that's the same fucking time.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like, it's only because you lived through those years 1 year at a time that you make that distinction. To anyone who's less than 20 years old, those came out the same year.
And they were. It's fine.
All right. Oh, Joe. I'm not going to say what I think of this. I want to hear what you say first, so I don't say something and you say the exact opposite and look like an asshole. What do you think about the mechanic of you play a level of a video game? This is a video game with discrete levels. Not an open world game, it's levels. You beat a level, and then you get a rating at the end of the level. What do you think of that?
Well, Tom, I think that's the whole point of the fucking endeavor.
Really?
Like, it's so sick when you get an S rank. It feels so good. I love it. It also, this is the dopamine I was supposed to get from homework, but like you can go back and change what was a B into an S.
Wow. Okay. I'm glad I held back my opinion because, Joe, I got to tell you, I have the exact opposite. When their game is giving me ratings at the end of the level, I'm in like super hell and I hate it a lot.
First playthrough in a game with ratings, usually towards the end, I'm thinking of like Bayonetta has this, and it's like the final few levels are like D, F, you fucking chunked it, you got hit 100 times.
It's funny you should mention Bayonetta because I'm thinking of that specifically. That wasn't happening to me at the end. That was happening to me on every single level. I suck at Bayonetta big time, and it really was like, it really killed my desire to keep playing the game. How every single time I was playing, every like 20 minutes or so, it would go like blah blah and give me a trophy of the dumbass Italiano man falling on his dumb ass, and it would say you got a stone trophy, dumbass. And I'm just like, I guess I'm a dumb. I guess I am a little worm. I'm a terrible man.
Oh, the stone trophy was like the lowest rank, right? Because you got fancier medals.
Yeah, and obviously, the higher up you go, you get Bayonetta as the trophy. In like a sensual pose, I would imagine. Not that I would know. But the lowest...
And, yeah, not Italian either.
Yeah, no, you get the fat, dumbass Italiano guy who exists to fucking fall on his ass for, like, clown music to play. And then Bayonetta's like, I'm so glad I'm not Italian. Why is she fucking James from Team Rocket? I don't know. Didn't that voice actress, like, have like there was this incredible drama where she was getting like recast and everyone was like, how could you, she's so iconic, how we're all on your side, and then she's like, by the way, vaccines make you gay. I don't think it was that, but like she said, she was like in her moment of triumph, she's like, by the way, I'm fucking insane.
My favorite anti-vax person is just the guy from the Mighty Mighty Boss Stones is not for these. I love that.
Really?
I haven't thought about them in a while. Yeah, he was. Dickie Barrett is no on the jab.
Wow. I also thank you for making that clear, because I'm like, the guy from Mighty Mighty Boss Tones could reply.
It's the guy with the voice. It's not the Aquabats where they're all me.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so we're at odds here. Do you understand what I'm saying about how a game that gives you ratings, it makes the experience of playing it for the first time and not knowing what to do yet hurt? Like, why are you making fun of me? Like, I'm the player. Like, I bought you, game. Like,
can I suggest a workaround?
Yeah, tell me.
When you get to that part, just close your eyes. Like, just do that. You know when it's going to happen, and you know the sound it makes, so when it's over, you can open them.
Ugh. So you're telling me that when you get good, it's fun to get the good rank? Tell me, what does that feel like? Walk me through the positive experience of this.
I like the ranking system, especially for games like Bayonetta, because one, I do not have the same issue you do. I think the problem is you are trying to do things. Like, you're like, I want to execute certain actions. And the way you play Bayonetta is you must empty your mind, okay? Mm-hmm. You have to empty your mind and only react and kill and, like, not process thoughts. But the reason I like the ranking system in that is you finish a level, you're like, I was really schmoovin', like, I feel pretty good. Mm-hmm. And then you get that confirmation that, yes, you were in fact schmooving by the game standards. The developers put these baselines in there. And by those baselines, you were crushing it. You're doing great. I find that to be a very helpful milestone sort of direction that I'm, like, playing correctly. And the thing that I will do differently is, like, for action games like Bayonetta, where it's, like, combo-based and there's, like, fluid movement, if I get a low rank on something like D because I got hit a bunch, I replay it. Because it feels like, even if I beat a boss, and I beat a boss by, like, dragging my ass across the finish line, just like a really unceremonious victory, you know, like barely any health left, you used everything. In those cases, I will play again, because, like, the game is about, like, being the cool witch lady that dodges. So I feel like if I don't do that, I'm not playing right.
Interesting. I don't replay because I'm just like, I'm just going to fuck up again. I think the real thing is that games with ratings in them tend to be games that I fucking suck ass at so goddamn hard. The ranking system, honestly, it just makes you have more of the feeling that you had already. So if you are having a good time, you're gonna have more of a good time. And if you feel like I have no fucking idea what I'm doing, I have no idea how I should be getting better. This feels like this is so inscrutable. How am I supposed to remember all these? How do I remember all these combos? Like, what fucking buttons do I press? Just tell me what buttons to press.
You need to empty mind. You not, like, combos don't exist. You just have buttons and vibes.
I don't know. I can't get into that mindset, and thus I already feel like, I'm bouncing off this game. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do, and then the game is just like, by the way, you're a worm. And I'm just like, okay, thanks.
Well, here's what we'll do. Pick your honest rating. I'll pick mine, and we split the difference.
I think, Joe, I was about to propose the exact same thing, because my honest rating is F, and I think your honest rating is going to be S.
No, it's A. For me, S is like an active mechanic. It's got to really be juicy and fun, whereas, like, hey, this did the accounting at the end in a fun way, which is good and fun, but that is not exciting as rolling with iframes.
You say that, but we put level ups where they say every single stat change in S, which is not an active mechanic. However, that's so fucking good. I'm not saying we did that wrong.
That's crucial information that is being kept from you otherwise.
Yes.
This is it is correcting an error.
I think it gets bumped from A to S by the existence of level ups where they don't tell you anything, which is of course in F, because you realize how good you really have it. I'm putting it in C, even though technically the average would be D.5, the average of A and F, but I'm going to round up.
We're going to round up because I dig it.
Yeah, and it's not, I mean, I get it in theory. It's just that in practice, every game you get a rating at the end of the level is fucking suck. Actually, hold up. Guitar Hero, dude. Rock Band.
Yeah, I was actually about to suggest the Burnout Crash mode because they give you medals in that, and that's like the perfect.
Yeah,
game
I'm moving up to
of
A.
just like, oh, I can do better. I can crash.
Yeah,
more.
no, I'm talking about. Remember me talking about Crash Mode, talking about Guitar Hero, Rock Band. I love games where you get a rating at the end of the level. I'm putting it in A. I got too caught up on Bayonetta. No, this is. Thank you for helping me get there. All right, I think we have time for one more. What's the one you want to do next? The last one for today.
We haven't done too much JRPG stuff, so I want to do that. If that's cool. I'm gonna go with
the Wagon. I was so
Dragon Quest.
I was so hoping you'd pick the Wagon.
So what is the Wagon? Let me tell you, folks. In Dragon Quest and in many JRPGs, you know how like you have your active party members, and then there's people that are not with you. They're like hanging out in town.
They're in your party, but like you have to swap someone to have them like be active. Otherwise, they're just sort of like, I'm chilling, but I'm not gonna fight. You know?
Yeah. So what that means is every time you want to swap out your party, you got to go to town. Whatever. I forget which Dragon Quest did this, but they introduced the Wagon, which was like, the people who are not in the fights are just gonna hang out back here.
Yeah. When you're on the fucking world map, your little guys are walking, and then behind you is a fucking covered wagon, and that's where your friends who aren't in the party are hanging out. And this is the critical thing. When you have a game like this where you have characters who aren't in the party, you not only is it annoying to have to always be swapping them, go into the swapping spot and blah, 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 but also it introduces like, what a chore. You have to be swapping. Otherwise, you're going to get characters who are way under-leveled compared to everyone else. Because, these are my friends in the party. They've been leveling up because they've been having incredible battles. But, all the guys I didn't use are weak as hell. Oh, and now I have to go and do fucking chores and grind them up to fucking snuff. And it's annoying. What happens when you're in a fight and you get experience? What happens to the people who are in the wagon, Joe?
They saw it happen, dude.
Yeah.
They get the experience. Also, all your shit's in the wagon. Like, your storage is there, too, which is just nice.
Yes.
And you may be thinking, like, okay, if you can just swap people out, like, doesn't that turn what is an aspect of every JRPG, which is resource management? By that, I mean every JRPG is actually about managing MP in a cave. That's all it is.
Yes.
Can't you just constantly swap people out? Isn't that kind of stupid, especially for, like, story dungeons and stuff? No, because the wagon can't fit in the dungeon. You have to leave it behind.
This is such a fucking, like, I can't, like, this might be the smartest video game design thing that has ever been done, which is just, like, the wagon can't fit through castle doors. Like, that, like,
That's very reasonable. Yeah, I guess it would. And also, it would be very rude to just, like, walk your wagon into a palace.
Yes. And also, it's so smart because, like, on the fucking map screen, when you have a random encounter on the overworld, that's like, people are always talking about, like, JRPGs suck because of random encounters. They're so annoying. And there's no place where that's more true than when you're just trying to get somewhere on the overworld screen. But on the overworld screen, you have the wagon. So it's actually very easy because everyone is leveling up at the same time. And also, if someone's getting their ass kicked, you can swap them out incredibly easily with no downside, and then all of a sudden there's a new guy who has not gotten his ass kicked, and when you're done with the fight, you can heal because you have your wagon full of fucking herbs and shit. You don't have to put them in your inventory for each person where they only can hold like 10 things. You can hold them all in the fucking wagon. And then when you get to a dungeon, it's like, okay, now it gets more hard because this is a designed experience as opposed to the overworld, which is just a big fucking mass of random encounters. It's so goddamn... I love the wagon. Also, there's a covered wagon behind you. It's funny looking.
It is funny. It's funny when you have 4 people doing the JRPG line plus a wagon. That's quite the train.
They're literally dragging a wagon. I think it's Dragon Quest 4, 5, and 6 that have the wagon. 4 and 5, I think, are the best ones.
Yeah, but the first time I think I saw, you can't take the wagon in here, I was like, oh, so this game was made by like the smartest people that have ever lived.
Yes. It's just like, it's so intuitive. It's like, when am I able to swap characters easily and freely? It's like, well, when you have the wagon. It's like, well, when do I have the wagon? It's like, well, when would you have a wagon? And like,
when would you have a wagon? When you're not on the wrong side of a hole that is too small for the wagon.
Like, duh. Like, nothing more needs to be said. It's so, oh my god. There are so many like game mechanics that they just have to explain to you fully in sort of like, you know, the game terms. Like, the light attack gives you, and it's like, it's so abstract and it's impossible to remember, and it's so like, such a headache to like try to grasp what they're trying to tell you and what all the exceptions to this rule are and what it all means. Again, one of the smartest game design decisions ever is just the wagon. Like, everything you think is the wagon's gonna do based on, like, have you seen a wagon before?
The word.
That's how it works. What tier are we feeling for the wagon?
A or S?
Dude, I was gonna say S, just because it's so.
Let's do it.
And also, being that it is a Dragon Quest mechanic, it occurs in games where you level up and they say every single stat change, which, as we know, is an S tier mechanic, and so I feel like it's catching some shine off of that. Yeah, the wagon is definitely an S. Hell yeah! Oh, I love this. Joe, I feel like we've really said some incredibly smart things that cannot be argued with today. Do you agree?
Big agree.
Yeah. The wagon is so fucking good. I want to play Dragon Quest V again. God damn.
That's all the time we have for Anime Sickos. We have, I think, 12 more mechanics left.
Yeah, the list is really short. We did not make a really big list. The list is actually small. And so I think maybe just one more, and we'll get to the end of the list. Yeah, definitely just like one more, because if I'm counting, there's only like a couple dozen left. Because it's a short list. Anyway, that's all. I've been Tom in Anime Sicko.
I've been Joe in Anime Sicko.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at ShariaUncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos, or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.